the new U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods are reshaping the cross-border trade landscape. For businesses that import, export, or rely on integrated supply chains, understanding these changes is more important than ever. In this episode, we examine the history of the U.S. Act involved, the latest tariff announcement, and what it means for Canadian businesses. To help us with the discussion is Dean Wood. Dean is the founder of BorderWorks, a company that actively engages in U.S. and Canadian trade legislators, Canada Border Services Agency, and Customs and Border Protection on the U.S. side. Dean is a trusted authority on navigating complex regulatory landscapes while ensuring industry stakeholders are informed and connected. Welcome, Dean.
Thank you for having me, David.
Well, Dean, this is a big one. This involves the 1930 Act, which is the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, that was brought in during the Depression to protect U.S. farmers, and it significantly backfired because everybody else on in the trading bloc with the U.S. at that time reciprocated with tariffs, and it backfired miserably. And I'm taken back to the early 1900s, and there was a Spanish philosopher that coined the phrase, "Those who don't pay attention to history are doomed to repeat it." And I can't help but think that this is true in this case. Dean, what's your take on this?
Well, certainly on the surface, there is all kinds of innuendos, comments that are being made, and challenges that are being thrown out there. And I think if we look below the surface and look at what really the undercurrent is, and that is, since the new U.S. administration came in, Canada needed to firm up our relationship. And part of that firming up of our relationship is to understand any of the elements of the USMCA or CUSMA that were not properly aligned between our two countries and seize the opportunity to balance that. Balance it before it became a trade war. And it wasn't done. And I think what you're seeing today is the U.S.'s administration's push to say, let's get it done. And they're using these levers. But unfortunately, the levers that they are using today, particularly this round of tariffs that are going to directly affect USMCA qualified goods, is a direct hit on the small businesses, the small to medium businesses in Canada, and quite frankly, the small to medium businesses in the U.S. that have that joint relationship. Remember, 32 U.S. states treat Canada as their number one trading partner. So unlike the other tariffs, where there were subsidies offered to the aluminum and the metal industry and the softwood lumber industry, the small business owner is left on his own. And the anxiety of the uncertainty of what's going on is crippling our folks in the small and medium business community. It's huge. It's huge.
So, Dean, there are a number of products that are caught up in this. They're not covered under the USMCA agreement. And what's at the crux of this particular situation? I know that the U.S. keep talking about our supply, the dairy industry, and how our supply controls affect that. But when we really look beneath the surface, we find out that the U.S. never hits those levels where any restriction would be put in place. So is this merely a smoke and mirrors negotiation tactic to get something out of Canada, to get us to capitulate rather than negotiate?
Well, certainly I've heard that in the media today from various premiers about capitulation. And I would say that if you're in the schoolyard and a bully comes up to you and takes your lunch money, I'm not sure the best response is to try to grab your lunch money back and take his with you. But at the end of the day, if you get into that situation, you better be 10 times the size of the bully, because otherwise you're going to lose in that. It's not going to end well for you. But at the same time, I think that there are some irritants. I think we haven't properly explored the fact that our trade imbalance is a result of the natural resources that are so heavily enriched that are flowing to the United States. A population of 40 million cannot offset the value of that supply chain with buying goods and services back. And the reality is they're getting a great deal on energy. Look at, they're not putting any tariffs on energy. What if we put an export tax of 25% on every gallon of oil that leaves our country, or every bit of electricity that leaves our country? That would be a tremendous impact. So the fact is there are some irritants. And yes, supply management has been an irritant on the first administration, and it's an irritant on this administration. And I think what's happening, that at least my take on it, because actions speak louder than words, we have been dragging our feet for over a year on these relatively few issues that even the auto sector has said, we've negotiated it down to under 10 issues. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, there was close to being a deal. Did you not know that we were close to getting a deal until an ad went out with the Ronald Reagan tariffs, and it literally backfired? Like you said, it backfires. So I think there are some irritants that need to be addressed, and we need to not say that we're going to do it in earnest today. Listen, the horses are already out of the barn. You needed to be doing this 6 months, 8 months ago, and certainly we need to put attention to it today.
Dean, some have suggested that this is a White House flood the zone tactic, as they've used in many other ways. I mean, there was a 301 investigation on forced labor, so Canada responds by it with Bill 365. Now, then there was the other tariffs, and now, these tariffs, which are levied not on top of the original tariffs, but this is a new set of tariffs. It just seems like every time we respond to one, there's another call from the White House to do something else or do something more. Is this a flood the zone tactic just to keep us off balance?
Well, certainly it has kept a lot of people off balance. I think the fear is the folks that are at these negotiating tables are almost insulated from any effect that they make and any decision and how long it takes them to make it. The only thing that they're running at risk is whether they get elected or not. Again, the difference being is every time there's even a talk of instability in our trade, our small business owners are feeling that stress of it. And they are really to a breaking point. So I would say that it is a tactic to get the negotiations to the end zone, and to have the U.S. trade representatives heading to Mexico for several days and having productive meetings with Mexico. Mexico never put any retaliatory tariffs on it. Only China and Canada did that. And so see the effects of the negotiations going on in Mexico. I haven't seen or heard a derogatory comment about Mexico, and yet the cartels are down there and all kinds of things are happening down there. So I think at the end of the day, if we could lower the temperature, stay off of the media, and get to the negotiating table, I think we would better suit and benefit the small to medium businesses in Canada who are asking for some solution here.
Well, I know that there are many people that would like bourbon and California wines to return to the LCBO table, but who knows what is in mind with the Premier if he's going to do that. If you like this video, give it a like, and if you're enjoying the content, smash that subscribe button and get notified of our next episode. Thanks to Dean Wood for being my guest today, and this is David Wojcik for MBOT TV's Zoomcast, wishing you continued success in your business.